Ladies and gentlemen, you were not born to crawl through life as a creature of habit. You were born to command it. Every man and woman has within them the power to shape destiny, and the battlefield where this victory is won or lost lies squarely between the ears. Weak habits are the silent assassins of greatness. They creep in through comfort, they grow strong through repetition, and before you know it, they are steering your life while you sit quietly in the passenger seat, wondering why success seems so distant. Let me tell you something eternal and true. A disciplined mind is the master key to every locked door of opportunity. Until you educate your mind, train it, feed it, demand from it the excellence that leads to achievement, you will remain a slave to the chains you forged yourself. Now, I do not speak of education in the classroom sense. I speak of a deeper learning, a personal curriculum built from self-reflection, persistence, and ruthless honesty. You must become the scholar of your own habits and the executioner of the ones that weaken your will. A man who conquers himself is greater than a general who conquers a city. Study your thoughts. Observe your routines. Ask yourself, what am I feeding my mind? What do I allow to steal my time, dull my spirit, or excuse my procrastination? Every small indulgence in weakness is a brick laid in the wall between you and your purpose. If your mornings begin in idleness, if your evenings end in distraction, you are training your mind to obey weakness. But if you rise with intent, act with focus, and demand progress, then your mind becomes a weapon, forged in the fires of discipline. Kill weak habits like a warrior removes threats, swiftly, without mercy. Do not negotiate with laziness. Do not argue with fear. Do not reason with self-doubt. These are thieves that wear familiar faces. Show them the door. Replace them with habits of strength. Reading, planning, building, do it. Your mind will fight back at first. It will tempt you with comfort. It will whisper, just once won't hurt. But if you are wise, you will recognize that voice for what it is, a lie dressed in ease. You are not what you feel, you are what you do. And if you do what is hard, your life will be easy. But if you do what is easy, your life will be hard. Weak habits silently destroy potential. They do not announce themselves with noise or drama. Instead, they enter quietly, often disguised as harmless routines or comforting patterns. They mask themselves in phrases like, just this once, I deserve a break, or I'll start tomorrow. These are not simply moments of pause or rest. They are the early whispers of complacency. And when left unchecked, those whispers become commands that shape your life without your awareness. You don't need a catastrophe to fail in life. You don't need to suffer some major collapse. All you need is a string of small, weak decisions, repeated over time. That is the nature of a weak habit. It appears too insignificant to be dangerous, but like water dripping on stone, it slowly wears away your strength, your ambition, your drive. It chips away at your confidence until one day you can't remember what it felt like to be truly hungry for greatness. People often believe failure is a single event, but more often it is a process, slow, quiet, and invisible. It begins the moment you stop paying attention to the details of your behavior. It begins the moment you say, it's not a big deal, when deep down you know it is. It's in the skipped morning routine, the extra hour of mindless scrolling, the promise you break to yourself with a casual shrug. Weak habits don't need your permission to grow, they just need your indifference. The tragedy is that potential does not vanish in a day. It dies in silence, buried under the weight of excuses and passive choices. Your greatest threat is not failure, it is drifting. And drifting happens when weak habits become your default setting. The human mind is like fertile soil. It will grow whatever seed you plant. If you do not plant strong habits intentionally, weak ones will grow by default. Nature does not tolerate emptiness. If you do not fill your time with purpose, distraction will fill it for you. Weak habits gain strength because they are easy. They ask nothing of you. They demand no courage, no sacrifice, no energy. That is their power. The easy path is always wide and tempting, but what seems like ease is often erosion, and what feels like comfort is often stagnation. You cannot expand your capacity while serving the routines that keep you small. You cannot move forward while dragging the weight of your own lazy. It's easy to underestimate the damage caused by something that doesn't scream. But weak habits do not scream. They whisper, and their whispers are often more dangerous than the loudest failures. Because you ignore them, you allow them, you even defend them, calling them normal or human nature. But potential demands more than what is common. It demands a kind of ruthless awareness, a willingness to examine your daily life with brutal honesty. Every small decision matters. Every repeated action becomes part of the structure of who you are. Most people never realize their potential, not because they lack talent or opportunity, but because they tolerate too many weak habits for too long. They delay their power one day at a time, one excuse at a time, until they wake up in a life that no longer reflects their dreams. By then, the habits have become identities. The person who once dreamed has been replaced by the person who merely survived. You must understand that your future is not built in the big moments. It is built in the small ones. And weak habits are not passive. They are builders. They build the life you don't want. Brick by brick, thought by thought, action by action. When left unchallenged, they construct a prison of limitations while convincing you that you're still free. Discipline is the foundation of self-mastery. It is the invisible force behind every meaningful achievement, every act of self-control, every commitment kept in the absence of applause. Discipline is not a feeling, it is a decision. It does not ask how you feel in a moment. It commands your behavior in alignment with your higher vision. Without discipline, talent becomes scattered, dreams become fantasies, and potential remains untapped. People often admire strength, but they misunderstand its source. Strength is not found in raw emotion or temporary motivation. It is born in the fire of repetition, in doing what must be done, even when nothing inside you wants to do it. Discipline is the architecture of consistency, and consistency is the engine of transformation. If you rely on motivation to move forward, you will be a slave to your moods. But discipline liberates you from the tyranny of emotion by teaching your body and mind to obey purpose over preference. Self-mastery begins when you take full responsibility for what you allow and what you permit in your life. It means recognizing that the enemy is not always outside you, but often within you, in the part of yourself that craves comfort, seeks distraction, and resists effort. Discipline is the voice that silences that part, that overrides temptation and commands focus. It does not argue, it instructs, and the more you obey it, the more powerful it becomes. True discipline is not rigid or joyless. It is a tool, a weapon even, wielded by those who intend to rise above average. It is the root system that supports every visible success. A person who appears calm, productive, confident, that person has likely fought battles you will never see, battles of impulse, fatigue, frustration, and doubt. And what allowed them to win those battles was not luck or chance, was discipline. You cannot master your life until you master your habits. You cannot master your habits until you master your decisions. And every decision is a test of your discipline. Will you act according to what you want most or what you want now? That is the daily question, the moment-to-moment choice. And each time you choose long-term growth over short-term ease, you sharpen your edge. You teach your subconscious who is in control. You become the authority of your own being. Discipline also creates clarity. When you commit to structured behavior, your mind becomes less cluttered with options and temptations. You stop wasting energy on decisions that have already been made in advance. The disciplined person does not wonder whether to work. They work. They do not decide whether today is the day to show up. It always is. Discipline removes decision fatigue because it is rooted in principle, not mood. It is principle that holds you firm when distractions call your name. Freedom, ironically, is found through discipline. Most people chase freedom by avoiding structure, by indulging every desire and resisting every rule. But this creates chaos, not liberty. Without discipline, you become a prisoner to your impulses. You react to life instead of directing it. But when you live with discipline, you gain control over your time, your energy, your mind. You are no longer a servant to every craving or whim. You become the master. There is also power in delayed gratification, and discipline is what makes that possible. It is the ability to hold back the hand that reaches for the easy win and instead reach forward to the lasting reward. It is saying no to now so you can say yes to something greater. And though this often feels hard in the moment, discipline is the foundation, because without it, nothing else holds. Knowledge without discipline is wasted. Talent without discipline is squandered. Vision without discipline is a fantasy. When you learn to command yourself, your thoughts, your habits, your time, you no longer depend on external circumstances to succeed. You become your own driving force, your own motivator, your own leader. Your mind becomes what you train it to be. It is not fixed, and it is not immune to influence. It is a tool, neutral by nature, but shaped entirely by what you feed it, how you use it, and what you allow to pass through it. Every thought you entertain, every belief you accept, every pattern you repeat is part of that training. And like any tool, your mind can be either sharpened or dulled. It can be your greatest ally or your most dangerous saboteur. Mental toughness is not something you are born with, it is forged. It is trained. It is the result of deliberate focus, conscious decisions, and repeated actions. You don't become strong by accident. You become strong by intention. And that strength starts with your inner dialogue. What do you say to yourself when it gets hard? Do you complain or do you command? Do you give yourself a way out or do you give yourself a reason to continue? What you rehearse mentally becomes what you perform physically. Your actions are downstream of your thoughts. Every belief you accept as truth becomes a script your body follows. That's why your thoughts are not harmless. They are seeds. And like all seeds, they will grow into something. Whether they grow into confidence or self-doubt depends on what you plant and how often you water it. You cannot afford to let just any thought take root in your mind. Training your mind means being intentional with your attention. Focus is a muscle, and most people have allowed theirs to atrophy. Scrolling, multitasking, chasing novelty, these things weaken your ability to concentrate. And without concentration, progress is impossible. Your mind cannot serve two masters. It cannot chase distraction and discipline at the same time. You must choose what it serves. You must direct it, or it will be directed for you. This is the quiet work, the invisible work. No one sees the hours you spend sharpening your thoughts, challenging your beliefs, and pushing your inner limits. But this is where the real battle is fought. Your outer results are a reflection of your inner condition. If your results are weak, it is not your circumstances to blame. It is your mind's training. What you accept, tolerate, and repeat in your thoughts becomes the architecture of your life. Replace comfort with intentional action. Comfort, though often mistaken for peace, is one of the most deceptive forces in a person's life. It invites you to stay still, to settle, to remain where you are without effort. It tells you that everything is fine as it is, that you've done enough, that there's no need to push further. But growth does not occur in comfort. Transformation never happens in the presence of ease. If your life is designed around comfort, your results will be built around mediocrity. Intentional action is the antidote to stagnation. It means doing things with purpose, even when they are uncomfortable, especially when they are uncomfortable. It's easy to act when conditions are ideal, when the motivation is high, when the path is clear. But true progress is forged in moments when the mind whispers excuses and the body wants rest, yet you move anyway. That is intentional action. It is deliberate, focused, and driven by vision, not convenience. Every day presents a choice between comfort and intention. Most people don't make this choice consciously. They drift. They follow the easiest route available, the least resistance, the familiar path. They confuse relaxation with reward and routine with progress. But comfort without intention is a trap disguised as a gift. It gives you relief today and regret tomorrow. It makes you feel safe in the moment while stealing your potential in the long term. Intentional action begins with clarity. You must know what you are working toward and why it matters. Without clarity, your actions will scatter. You'll be busy but not effective, active but not advancing. Clarity gives direction to your energy. It tells your mind where to aim and your body how to move. Without it, comfort will win by default. The mind will always choose ease when purpose is absent. But when the purpose is strong, you gain the strength to endure discomfort in service of your goal. Replacing comfort with intentional action does not mean abandoning rest or denying yourself joy. It means becoming selective with your energy. It means choosing challenge over routine, purpose over pleasure, impact over indulgence. It means asking yourself not what feels good right now, but what moves you forward. It is living by design, not by default. It's deciding that your life will be shaped by effort, not by ease. Comfort will tempt you with softness. It will tell you to hit snooze, to skip the workout, to put off the task. But intentional action reminds you of the cost of delay, the cost of missed opportunity, the cost of potential unreached. Every time you choose comfort over action, you reinforce a pattern, and that pattern becomes your life. But every time you choose action over comfort, you rewire your identity. You become someone who moves with purpose, who creates rather than consumes, who leads rather than follows. But this discipline to act with intention must be practiced daily. You cannot rely on bursts of motivation to carry you. You must build systems, habits, routines that force you into motion even when you don't feel like it. Feelings are fleeting. Purpose is not. Action taken without needing to feel ready is what builds power. Because real growth happens when you act despite the resistance, not in the absence of it. The world will not reward you for your intentions. It will reward you for your actions. Comfort will always be there, ready to offer you a seat. But comfort never built anything worth remembering. Only intentional action has the strength to create change, to meld character, to produce results. You have to become the kind of person who chooses action even when the bed is warm, even when the excuses sound reasonable, even when no one is watching. Do not negotiate with excuses or fear. The moment you begin to reason with them, you've already given them power. Excuses are not obstacles, they are lies, wrapped in logic designed to keep you in the familiar. Fear is not a signal to stop, it is a signal that you are stepping beyond what is comfortable. Both excuses and fear will come dressed as protectors, pretending to care about your well-being, your rest, your peace of mind. But their true purpose is to keep you small, and every time you justify why you didn't start, why you didn't continue, or why you didn't finish, you give your excuses a voice. And the more you speak their language, the louder they become. They do not need to be true to control you. They only need to be believed. Excuses do not have power on their own. Their power is borrowed, given to them by your willingness to listen and obey. And once that habit forms, it becomes your standard response to challenge. Fear is no different. It may seem more intense, more visceral, but its mechanics are the same. It feeds on your attention. It grows when you analyze it, when you try to make it disappear by reasoning with it. But fear doesn't respond to reason. It responds to action. The longer you hesitate, the stronger it becomes. The more you wait for the fear to subside before you act, the less likely you are to ever act at all. Fear fades, not when it is conquered, but when it is ignored through forward motion. Excuses often disguise themselves as logic. They sound intelligent, rational, even caring. I don't have enough time. I need to be in the right mindset. I'll do it when I'm more prepared. But beneath every excuse is a deeper truth, the avoidance of discomfort. Most people don't lack time. They lack discipline. They don't lack clarity. They lack courage. It is easier to build a wall of justifications than it is to face the pain of growth. Those who succeed in anything have learned to act without permission from their feelings. The most dangerous thing about excuses and fear is that they create the illusion of safety. You feel protected when you stay within your limits. You feel secure when you avoid what stretches you. But that safety is fake. It's a cage. It keeps you from learning who you really are. Every time you refuse to act because of fear or excuse, you reinforce weakness. You validate the lie that you are not ready, not worthy, or not capable. And eventually, that lie becomes your identity. High achievers do not eliminate fear. They simply stop negotiating with it. They do not argue with their excuses. They override them. They understand that success is not found in perfect moments, but in decisive ones. The moment when everything in your mind tells you to wait, to pause, to back off, and you act anyway. That is where strength is built. That is where transformation begins. The ability to act in the face of resistance is what separates progress from regret. There is no value in trying to make fear comfortable. There is no benefit in making excuses sound noble. You must treat them like enemies, not advisors. You must respond to them with movement, not meditation. This doesn't mean being reckless. It means being resolved. When you know your mission, you stop giving your fears a vote. When you commit to a higher standard, you stop offering excuses a seat at the table. You move, you act, you build, and the more you do this, the quieter the resistance becomes. Excuses and fear will always knock. They never leave permanently. But over time, they lose influence, not because they vanish, but because you no longer trust them. You stop needing their approval before you take action. You stop delaying your life until the conditions are ideal. You stop allowing hesitation to make decisions on your behalf. You cannot live a strong life with a weak mind. The strength of your life, its direction, its depth, its impact, is forged first in thought. It begins where no one sees, in the silent conversations you have with yourself, in the beliefs you choose to hold, and in the standards you refuse to lower. The body will not go where the mind will not lead. The actions will not rise above the thoughts that produce them. A weak mind does not simply limit your potential, it defines it. A weak mind gives up easily. It falls at the first sign of pressure, seeks the exit when the heat rises, and rationalizes failure before effort has even been exhausted. It craves comfort, not challenge. It looks for safety, not strength. A weak mind does not see opportunity, it sees threat. It does not build, it retreats. And in every moment that requires resolve, it offers you escape. The tragedy is not that it whispers doubt. The tragedy is that so many obey it. Mental strength is not arrogance. It is not hardness. It is clarity. It is discipline. It is the relentless commitment to pursue what matters, even when it is uncomfortable, unclear, or unpopular. A strong mind is not born through ease. It is forged through adversity, pressure, repetition, and will. It is trained by doing the hard things not once but daily. It is built in the cold mornings, the quiet sacrifices, the unseen battle. And once built, it becomes your anchor. The world does not reward fragility. It rewards resilience. Life will challenge you whether you are ready or not. It will test your patience, your integrity, your hunger. You cannot expect it to go easy on you because you are unprepared. That is not how growth works. If your mind is soft, the world will explode it. If your mind is undisciplined, the world will exploit it. It is not a matter of if you will face hardship, but when. And when that moment comes, the strength of your mind will determine your outcome. A strong life is not one without struggle. It is one where struggle does not break you. It is one where you can feel fear, stress, or pressure and still act with purpose. Strength is not the absence of difficulty. It is the ability to carry it and continue. But that capacity does not magically appear. It is built in the choices you make when things are hard. Do you press forward or do you flinch? These are the quiet moments where mental strength is either formed or forfeited. A weak mind feeds on distractions. It avoids stillness, it avoids truth, and it avoids work. It is reactive, easily influenced by noise, always searching for the path of least resistance. It lacks a backbone. It lacks a mission. It drifts. But a strong mind is rooted. It is focused. It is not immune to doubt, but it does not live by it. It experiences fear, but it does not submit to it. A strong mind has one master: intention. You build a strong mind the same way you build a strong body, by stress, by load, by repetition. You must feed it the right inputs. You must challenge it with new ideas, push it with daily standards, and stretch it beyond its comfort zone. You must train it to stay calm when things fall apart, to stay focused when everything pulls for your attention, and to stay committed when nothing is working yet. There are no shortcuts to this kind of strength. No affirmation or quote can replace the work. No motivational video can substitute the process. Strength comes from decisions, it comes from the grind, and it comes from the refusal to allow weakness to lead. When the mind is strong, the life that follows will carry that strength. Every conversation, every goal, every relationship, it will all reflect the mindset that drives it.